I do not want to see you here anymore. My son, Liam, screamed those words barely 2 hours after I decided to transfer the family ranch, valued at $800,000, into his name. We were standing in front of the house, that farmhouse made of timber and stone that I had built with my own hands after his father passed away. I had just handed him everything. My legacy, my entire life converted into 300 acres of fertile land, and he responded with a scream that tore my soul apart. I do not want to see you here anymore, Mom. Did you hear me? I do not need you anymore. Get out. I looked at him, unable to believe what was happening. My lips trembled, but something inside me remained firm. I took a deep breath. I looked him straight in the eye, and I answered him with a calmness I did not even know I possessed. As you wish, son. Those 3 words left my mouth like a whisper, but they carried the weight of 65 years of life, of 30 years of work on that ranch, of 15 years raising him alone. Liam did not even look at me when I turned around. I heard him slam the door of his pickup truck and peel out at full speed, kicking up a cloud of dust that covered my shoes. I stood there, in the middle of the dirt road, watching him drive away. The sun was going down. The cicadas were singing. Everything seemed normal, but nothing was. That morning had dawned differently. I got up early, as always, but with a special emotion in my chest. Today was the day. Today I would hand Liam the deed to the ranch. I had made that decision months ago. I thought it was the right thing to do. I thought a son needs to know that his mother trusts him, that a man of his age deserves to have his own assets, that I was getting older and it was time to let go. I showered with care. I put on my gray dress, the one I kept for church and special occasions. I combed my white hair, gathering it into a low bun. I looked in the mirror and saw a tired woman. Yes, but dignified. A woman who had worked every day of her life to give her son a better future. And today I was handing him that future in the form of land, livestock, and everything I had built. Liam arrived in town at 10 o'clock in the morning. We had agreed to meet at the office of our attorney, Mr. Arthur Higgins, a 70-year-old man who had known our family forever. I arrived first. I sat in the waiting room with my hands on my lap, trying to calm my nerves. I imagined what the moment would be like. I imagined that Liam would hug me, that he would say thank you, that he would finally recognize everything I did for him. But when Liam entered, he did not even greet me properly. Just a nod. He was wearing his black city suit, those expensive shoes that shined, and that expression of hurry he always has. He sat next to me without looking at me. He took out his smartphone and started checking emails. Mr. Higgins called us into his office. We went in. He already had all the papers ready on his dark mahogany desk. He explained the procedure again, although I already knew it by heart. The transfer of property, the legal documents, the signatures, everything was in order. I signed first. My full name, Eleanor Vance. My hand shook a little while I wrote. Not from doubt, but from the importance of the moment. I was handing over $800,000 in land. I was handing over my history, my sweat, my tears, everything that was me. Then Liam signed. Fast, without ceremony. Like someone signing a receipt at the grocery store. Mr. Higgins looked at us both with a smile. Congratulations, Liam. You are now the owner of one of the finest ranches in the county. Liam just nodded. He put his copy of the papers in his leather briefcase and stood up. Are we done? Mr. Higgins seemed surprised by the coldness, but he nodded. Yes, Liam. All that is left is the official recording at the county clerk's office, but we handle that. In 3 days, everything will be completely legal. 3 days. Those words remained floating in the air. But at that moment, I did not pay attention to them. I just wanted to leave there with my son, talk to him, hear his plans, feel that I had done the right thing. We left the office together. We walked down Main Street. I tried to break the silence. Liam, son, I thought we could grab lunch together. There is a diner nearby that serves. I do not have time, Mom. I have to get back to the city. I bit my lip. I insisted. But we just did something very important. I wanted us to talk about. Talk about what? It is done. I have the papers. What else do you want? His tone was sharp, cold, as if I were taking up valuable time. We kept walking to where his truck was parked. He opened the door. I stood to one side, waiting for something, anything. Then Liam looked at me, and in his eyes, I saw something I had never seen before. Contempt. "Mom, I need to tell you something." My heart skipped a beat. For a second I thought the gratitude was finally coming. But what came out of his mouth was the complete opposite. "I do not want you living on the ranch anymore." "What?" "You heard me. I am going to sell the property. I already have an interested buyer. He is offering me $900,000. It is a good business deal. In 2 months, I close the sale. Liam, that is my home. It is where I have lived for 30 years. It is. It was your house, Mom. Now it is mine, and I decide what to do with it." I felt the ground move beneath my feet. I could not be hearing this right. "Are you telling me you want to kick me out of my own house? It is not your house. Not anymore. Read the papers you just signed." "But, Liam, I gave you that ranch so you could work it, so you would have a legacy, not so you could sell it and leave me on the street." He let out a dry laugh. "Bitter. Work it? Me? Mom, please. I am not a farmer. I went to college. I have a life in the city. What am I going to do with cows and crops? I need the capital, not the dirt." I could not breathe. Liam's words kept echoing in my ears like church bells announcing a funeral. I need the capital, not the dirt. That was the only thing that mattered to him. Not the history of that ranch, not the memories, not me, just the money. I tried to maintain my composure. I tried to search his face for some trace of the boy I raised, of the son who hugged my legs when he was afraid during thunderstorms, of the young man who cried in my lap when his father died. But that son was no longer there. In front of me was just a man who looked at me as if I were an inconvenience. "Liam, please, think it through. That ranch is your heritage. It is what your father and I built for you." He shook his head, impatient. "My heritage was getting an education, and I already did that. Now I need capital to invest in my business downtown. I'm going to open another branch of my company. This is an opportunity. And what about me? Where am I going to live?" Liam shrugged his shoulders. That simple gesture hurt me more than any word. "I do not know. Mom, can you rent something in town? Something small. With your savings, you can live well. You are already old. You do not need so much space. I do not need so much space." As if 30 years of my life could be summarized in that. As if the mornings milking cows, the afternoons repairing fences, the nights reviewing accounts so he never lacked anything in college were just wasted space. "Son, I gave you that ranch because I thought you would value it, that you would understand what it means." He sighed with annoyance. "Mom, do not start with the drama. I am too old for your lectures. I value your effort, but everyone has their own life. You had yours working the land. I have mine in business. They are different worlds." "Different worlds?" "Liam, I sacrificed everything for you. I sold your grandmother's jewelry to pay for your tuition. I worked double shifts when your father died so you would not lack anything. I stayed alone on that ranch while you were in the city because I wanted you to have opportunities. I know, Mom, I know. You have repeated it to me 1,000 times. His tone was fed up. As if my sacrifice was a broken record that bored him, I felt something break inside me, something that until that moment I had believed was unbreakable. "So, everything I did means nothing to you?" Liam looked me straight in the eye, and what he said next knocked the air out of my lungs. "It means you did your job as a mother. Nothing more. I did not ask you to sacrifice yourself. You chose to do it. You cannot bill me for the rest of my life for decisions you made." My legs went weak. I had to hold on to the side mirror of the truck so I would not fall. My job as a mother? Nothing more. I had raised a stranger, someone incapable of feeling gratitude, incapable of loving. Liam kept talking, as if he did not notice he was destroying me with every word. "Besides, let us be honest, Mom. You never understood me. You always wanted me to stay here, in this forgotten town, working the dirt like a peasant. But I wanted more. I deserved more." "You deserve more?" "I gave you an education that cost thousands of dollars. I gave you assets worth $800,000. What more did you want? I wanted you to let me be free. To not make me feel guilty every time I chose my life instead of yours. Always with your hints. Always with your, "Oh, son, I am just staying here alone." As if it were my obligation to stay and keep you company. I never asked you to stay. I just wanted you to come visit me once in a while. Visit you to hear the same thing. That the cow is sick, that the fence needs fixing, that the tractor broke down. Mom, that world is not mine. It never was. Then why did you accept the ranch? Because it is money. Because I can turn it into something useful for me. That is called being smart with resources. I remained silent. I had no more words. Liam got into his truck and started the engine. He rolled down the window just a few inches. "Find a place to live. Mom, I am giving you 2 months to get your stuff out. After that, the new owner is coming." 2 months? Liam, please. It is more than enough. Oh, and another thing. What? I do not want you coming to the city to look for me. I do not want you showing up at my office like you did the last time, embarrassing me in front of my partners with your country clothes and your stories about the farm. They do not understand that world. And frankly, I do not want them to understand it either. I felt as if he had slapped me. The last time I went to the city was 6 months ago, for his birthday. I brought a homemade cake. I dressed in my best clothes, and he barely let me stay 15 minutes before saying he had an important meeting. Are you ashamed of me? It is not that, Mom. It is just that you and I are from different worlds. I already told you. I am your mother, Liam. I am not from another world. I am the woman who gave birth to you. And I thank you for that. But you already fulfilled your role. Now let me live my life. That was when he screamed it. When he said those words that would remain engraved in my memory forever. I do not want to see you here anymore. Do you understand? I do not need you anymore. Get out and leave me alone. The silence that followed was worse than the scream. People on the street had stopped to look. Some ladies who were shopping at the corner store were watching us with wide eyes. Mr. Vincent, the owner of the hardware store, was shaking his head from his doorway. I took a deep breath. I felt something inside me close, like a steel door slamming shut that would never open again. I looked at my son one last time, and I said to him, with a voice that sounded calmer than I felt inside, "As you wish, son." Liam peeled out without saying another word. I watched his truck disappear around the bend in the road. The dust settled slowly. The ladies were still looking at me. Mr. Vincent walked over. "Are you all right, Mrs. Vance?" I nodded without speaking. I did not trust my voice. I turned around and started walking. I needed to move. I needed my legs to do something while my head processed what had just happened. I walked the 6 blocks to the bus stop. I sat on the metal bench, hot from the sun. I waited 20 minutes until the county shuttle that goes out toward the ranch arrived. I got on. I paid my fare. I sat next to the window. And during the entire 40-minute ride, I did not shed a single tear. Because something strange was happening inside me. It was not sadness. It was not rage. It was clarity. A cold and precise clarity like the edge of a well-sharpened knife. Liam had said he did not need me anymore, that he wanted to sell the ranch, that he gave me 2 months to leave. But he had forgotten a detail. A very important detail that Mr. Higgins had mentioned in the office. The transfer was not official until the papers were recorded in the public archives. And that recording took 3 days. 3 days. I got off the bus at the entrance to the ranch. I walked up the dirt path to the house. The chickens were pecking in the yard. The dogs came to greet me, wagging their tails. Everything remained the same. But I was no longer the same woman who had left that morning. I went into the house. I went straight to my bedroom. I took a manila envelope where I kept important documents out of my dresser drawer. Inside was Mr. Arthur Higgins' business card. I looked at it for a long while. Then I picked up the phone and dialed his number. Mr. Higgins answered on the 3rd ring. His voice sounded calm, as always. Higgins Law Firm. Good afternoon. Mr. Higgins, this is Eleanor Vance. There was a brief pause on the other end of the line. Then I heard him shifting in his chair. Eleanor? What a surprise. Did something happen? We just saw each other at the office a few hours ago. Yes, Mr. Higgins. Something happened. I need to speak with you. It is urgent. I sensed the concern in his voice when he replied, "Is everything okay? Did you have a problem with the documents?" "Not with the documents, with my son." Silence. A silence that told me Mr. Higgins knew exactly what I was talking about. He had seen something in the office. He had noticed Liam's coldness, the way he ignored me during the whole process. "Do you want to come to the office? I can see you tomorrow morning." "I need to see you today, Mr. Higgins. Right now, if possible." I heard him flipping the pages of his planner. "It is 3 o'clock. I have an appointment at 4, but I can see you at 5. Does that work for you?" "Perfect. I will be there." I hung up the phone and sat on the edge of my bed. The house was silent. You could only hear the tick-tock of the wall clock in the living room. That clock had belonged to my mother, that clock that had watched every minute of my life pass in this farmhouse for 30 years. I stood up and walked through the house slowly. I looked at every corner as if I were seeing it for the first time. The kitchen, where I prepared thousands of meals. The dining room, where Liam and I ate dinner together when he was a boy. The living room where his father sat to read the newspaper every afternoon before he died. The wooden rocking chair where I sat to knit while Liam did his homework. Everything was full of memories. Memories that meant nothing to my son. He only saw $900,000. He only saw a business opportunity. He only saw a property he wanted to convert into quick cash. I went to the kitchen and made myself a coffee. I sat at the table and drank slowly. I needed to calm down. I needed to think clearly, because what I was about to do had no turning back. Liam had said he did not need me anymore, that everyone had their own life, that I had fulfilled my role as a mother and nothing more. Those words kept bouncing around in my head. Every time I remembered them, I felt a sharp pain in my chest. But I also felt something else, determination. If my son thought he could treat me like that he could throw me away like an old rag after using it, he was very wrong. I had worked every day of my life for that ranch. I had buried my husband in that land. I had raised my son among those fields. No one, not even my own son, was going to take those achievements away from me. I finished my coffee. I washed the cup. I changed my clothes. I put on black slacks, a simple white blouse, and my closed-toe shoes. I pulled my hair back into a tight bun. I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. The woman staring back at me was no longer the hopeful mother who had left that morning heading for the notary. She was someone different, someone who had understood a painful truth. Love is not begged for, and respect is not pleaded for. It is demanded. I left the house at 4:30. I took the shuttle back to town. During the ride, I mentally rehearsed everything I was going to say to Mr. Higgins. I needed to be clear. I needed to be firm. I needed him to understand that I was not acting out of spite, but out of justice. I arrived at his office 5 minutes before 5. The secretary, a young woman named Sarah, received me with a smile. "Mrs. Vance, Mr. Higgins is waiting for you. Go on in, please." I entered the office. Mr. Higgins stood up from his chair and offered me a seat. He looked worried. He looked like someone who knew something bad had happened. "Eleanor, sit down, please. Tell me what happened." I sat in front of him. I crossed my hands over my lap, and then I told him everything. Every word Liam had screamed at me. Every slight, every humiliation. Mr. Higgins listened in silence, without interrupting, shaking his head occasionally with an increasingly serious expression. When I finished, he sighed deeply. He took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. Then he looked at me with a mixture of sadness and understanding. "Eleanor, I am so sorry you had to go through this. I had no idea that your son... Well, that things were like that between you two." "I did not know either, Mr. Higgins. I thought that by handing him the ranch he was going to value my effort. I thought he was going to understand what it meant. But I was wrong." He nodded slowly. "And what do you want to do now?" "I want to cancel the transfer." The words came out of my mouth firmly. Mr. Higgins looked at me in surprise. "Cancel the transfer?" "Eleanor, that is a very serious decision." "I know, but it is my decision. Liam made it very clear that he does not want me in his life, that he is only interested in the money from the sale, that I embarrass him. Well, if that is how it is, he has no reason to keep anything that is mine." Mr. Higgins leaned back in his chair. He clasped his hands under his chin. He thought for a long minute. "Legally, you can still do it. The deed has not been recorded in the public archives yet. That takes 3 business days. Until it is recorded, the property is still yours. If you want to stop the process, you have every right. And what do I need to do? Sign a revocation of the deed of gift. It is a legal document that nullifies everything we signed this morning. Once you sign it and I process it, the ranch will remain in your name. Liam will receive nothing. Can he stop it? No, because legally, he is not the owner yet. The papers he signed this morning were just an intention to transfer, but without the official recording, they do not have full validity against third parties. You remain the legal owner. I felt something loosen in my chest. There was still time. I could still fix this. Then let's do it, Mr. Higgins. Right now. He looked at me intently. Eleanor, I want you to be completely sure this is going to cause a huge conflict with your son. He is going to be furious when he finds out. I am already sure. My son was very clear with me. He told me he does not need me anymore. To get out, to never look for him again. Well then, if that is what he wants, let him have it. But without my ranch, Mr. Higgins nodded slowly. He stood up and went to his file cabinet. He took out a new form and placed it on the desk. He started writing. I watched every movement of his pen. Every word he noted was a step toward my freedom. Here it is, Eleanor. Read it carefully before signing. I took the document and read it completely. It was clear. It was direct. It revoked the transfer of property by unilateral decision of the current owner. It annulled all effects of the document signed that morning. It returned the ranch completely to my name. I signed without shaking. This time my hand was steady. This time I knew exactly what I was doing. Mr. Higgins notarized the document. He put it in a folder. Done, Eleanor. First thing tomorrow morning, I will file this notice with the county clerk. The transfer will be officially canceled. The ranch will remain yours. Is Liam going to receive a notification? Not automatically, but eventually, he is going to find out. When he tries to register his copy of the deed or sell the land, he will be informed that the transfer was revoked. How much time can pass before he knows? It depends. If he tries to do something with the property in the next few days, he will know soon. If not, weeks could pass, even months. Perfect. Mr. Higgins looked at me with concern. Eleanor, are you prepared for what is coming? Your son is not going to take this well. I am prepared, Mr. Higgins. My son made his decision. I made mine. I left the office when the sun was starting to set. The sky was dyed orange and violet. I walked through the streets of town with a strange sensation in my chest. It was not happiness. It was not sadness. It was peace. A peace I had not felt in years. I passed in front of the church, in front of the park where Liam played when he was a boy, in front of the school where he took his first steps as a student. Everything reminded me of him. But now those memories no longer hurt me. They were simply there, like old photographs in an album that one looks at without emotion. I took the last shuttle back to the ranch. I arrived when it was already dark. The dogs welcomed me with their friendly barking. The lights in the house were off. I turned them on one by one. I made myself dinner, a simple plate of rice with vegetables. I ate in silence, seated at the dining room table. Afterward, I washed my plate, turned off the lights, and went to sleep. That night I slept deeply, without nightmares, without anguish. For the first time in a long time, I slept peacefully. I woke up the next day to the roosters crowing. The light of dawn entered through my bedroom window, illuminating the white walls that I had painted myself years ago. I stayed in bed for a moment, looking at the ceiling, feeling a strange calm. It was not the calm from before, when I lived waiting for Liam's phone calls. It was a different calm, the calm of someone who has made a decision and executed it. I got up, showered, and got dressed. I made coffee in the kitchen. The aroma filled the house like every morning. I went out to the porch with my steaming mug and sat in the rocking chair. From there, I could see the fields stretching as far as the eye could see. 300 acres of land that had been mine for 30 years and would continue to be mine. I knew that at that very moment, in some office downtown, Mr. Higgins was processing the revocation of the transfer. I imagined his figure bent over the documents, stamping each page, filing everything with the meticulous care that characterized him. I imagined how the public registry would receive those papers and how, with a simple official stamp, the ranch would be back completely in my name. Liam knew nothing yet. He was surely in his office in the city, busy with his important meetings, planning how to spend the $900,000 he thought he was going to receive from the sale of my land. Maybe he had already spoken with the supposed buyer. Maybe he had already calculated how much he was going to invest in his new branch. I drank my coffee slowly. I felt no guilt. I felt no remorse. I only felt that I was doing the right thing. I spent the day working on the ranch. I fed the chickens. I checked the fences of the corral. I spoke with Jack, the man who helped me with the cattle 3 times a week. He noticed something different about me. "Mrs. Vance, you look different today." "Different how, Jack?" "I do not know." "Calmer, like relieved?" I smiled. "Maybe it is because I made an important decision." He did not ask more. Jack was a discreet man. He had been working with me for over 10 years. He had known Liam since he was a teenager. He knew how my son had changed over the years. He knew how he had stopped coming to the ranch. He knew how he had left me alone. In the afternoon, while I was watering the garden plants, I heard a car stopping in front of the house. I looked up. It was my neighbor Betty Miller's truck. She got out with a basket covered with a white cloth. "Eleanor, I brought you some fresh-baked bread." Betty was my friend for 20 years. She lived on the next farm over, about 2 miles away. She was a widow like me. She was 62 years old and had energy that I envied. "Come in, Betty. I will make coffee." We sat in the kitchen. Betty unwrapped the bread. The sweet smell filled the space. While the coffee brewed, she watched me attentively. "You look different, Eleanor. That is exactly what Jack said this morning. Did something happen?" I sat across from her. Betty was one of the few people in the world I trusted fully. I told her everything. From the transfer of the ranch to Liam's screaming, from my visit to Mr. Higgins to the cancellation of everything. She listened in silence, drinking her coffee, nodding occasionally. When I finished, she put her cup on the table and took my hand. "You did good, Eleanor. Real good." "You think so?" "I know so. That boy has no right to treat you like that. It does not matter that he is your son. Respect is not optional. And if he cannot give you the minimum you deserve, then he does not deserve what you were going to give him. But he is my son, Betty. He is the only thing I have. No, my friend, you have yourself. And that is more than what many have." Her words hit deep. Betty was right. For years I had put Liam at the center of my life. Everything I did was thinking of him, of his future, of his well-being, of his happiness. But when had I thought of mine? Betty stayed a while longer. She helped me prepare dinner. We ate bread and cheese together and talked about other things. About her chickens, about the harvest, about the weather. Simple things that made me feel normal for the first time in days. When she left, it was already dark. I remained alone in the house again. I washed the dishes. I tidied the kitchen. And then the phone rang. My heart jumped. I looked at the device hanging on the wall. It rang consistently. I walked toward it slowly. I picked up the receiver. "Hello? Mom? It is me." It was Liam. His voice sounded normal, calm, as if nothing had happened between us. "Hello, son." There was a pause. "How are you?" "Fine." "And you?" "Fine too." "Hey, I am calling because I need you to send me some documents for the ranch." "What documents?" "The original property deeds. The buyer wants to review them before closing the deal. Do you have them handy?" I felt my heart beating faster. Liam still did not know anything. He still believed the ranch was his. "Liam, I need to talk to you about that." "About what?" "Just send me the papers by courier. It is urgent." "I cannot do that." "Why not?" "Because the ranch is no longer yours." Silence. A long and heavy silence on the other end of the line. "What did you say?" "I said the ranch is no longer yours. I canceled the transfer." I heard his breathing change, how it became faster, more agitated. "You did what?" "I went to see Mr. Higgins yesterday. I signed the revocation of the transfer. The ranch remains in my name." "Mom, are you crazy? What do you mean you canceled the transfer? You told me yourself you did not want me in your life anymore." "To get out, that I embarrassed you." Well, if I am not part of your life, my ranch is not either. You cannot do that. We already signed the papers. The papers were not recorded yet. I was still the legal owner. And as the owner, I decided to cancel everything. Liam exploded. His voice turned into a scream. This is ridiculous. You have to be joking. I already made a deal with the buyer. I already gave my word. Well, you will have to tell him the deal is off. No, Mom, you do not understand. I need that money. I already made commitments. I already signed contracts for the new branch. That is not my problem, Liam. Of course it is your problem. That ranch is mine. You gave it to me. I was going to give it to you, but you changed everything when you treated me like trash. When you screamed at me? When you told me you did not need me anymore? That does not give you the right to take away what is mine. It is not yours, Liam. It never was. The papers were not recorded. The transfer was never official. I heard him hit something on the other end, as if he had punched his desk. I am coming over there right now, and you are going to sign whatever is necessary for that ranch to return to my name. I am not going to sign anything, son. Yes, you are going to sign, even if I have to make you. Are you threatening me? He was breathing with fury. I will be there in 3 hours. Wait up for me. And he hung up. I stood in the kitchen, with the phone in my hand, listening to the dial tone. I was not afraid. I did not feel panic. I only felt that the storm that had been brewing had finally arrived. I hung up the phone slowly. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. It was pure adrenaline. Liam was on his way. He was going to arrive furious, ready to fight, to demand, to force me to give back what he believed was his. But I was no longer the submissive mother who let herself be yelled at. I was no longer the woman who begged for crumbs of affection. I looked at the wall clock. It was 8 o'clock at night. If Liam left the city now, he would arrive around 11. 3 hours. I had 3 hours to prepare. I went to my room and took a metal lockbox I kept up high in the closet. Inside were all my important documents, the original property deeds to the ranch, my husband's death certificates, the old titles, the receipts for taxes paid over 30 years. Everything was there, organized, protected. I checked every document. I wanted to make sure everything was in order. I wanted to be ready for anything Liam tried to do. Then I put the box back and hid it in a place where he could not find it easily. Then I called Betty. She answered on the second ring. Eleanor, are you okay? Yes, Betty. But Liam is on his way. I just told him I canceled the transfer of the ranch. He is furious. I heard Betty let out a worried sigh. Do you want me to come over there? I do not like you being alone. No, my friend, I will be fine. I just wanted someone to know he is coming, just in case. Eleanor, that boy can get violent. Do not trust that he is going to control himself. I know. That is why I am telling you. If I do not call you tomorrow morning, come looking for me. All right, but be careful. And if you need anything at all, you call me. I will. Thank you, Betty. I hung up and made myself some chamomile tea. I needed to calm my nerves. I sat in the living room, with the lights on, waiting. Outside, the night was dark and silent. You could only hear the crickets and the wind moving the tree leaves. I thought about all the years I had spent in that house, of all the times I had sat on that same sofa waiting for Liam to come visit, of all the nights I fell asleep with the phone next to me, waiting for his call, of all the times I made his favorite meal thinking he would come and he never arrived. How much time lost, how much energy wasted on someone who never knew how to value any of it. At 11:15, I saw headlights of a truck approaching up the dirt road. It was Liam. I recognized the sound of the engine. He stopped in front of the house with a sudden brake. I heard him slam the door. His footsteps pounded up the porch stairs. He knocked on the door with force. 3 dry blows that made the wood vibrate. I got up. I took a deep breath. I opened the door. Liam was standing there, his face red with fury. He was still wearing his work suit, but the tie was loose and the shirt wrinkled. He looked unhinged. He looked like someone who had spent the last 3 hours seething with rage. Can I know what is wrong with you, Mom? Good evening, Liam. Come in. I am not coming in. You are going to explain to me right now why you canceled the transfer. I already explained it to you on the phone. I am not going to repeat it. This is insane. You cannot do this. I already gave my word to the buyer. Your word is not my problem, son. Of course it is your problem. You offered me the ranch. We signed papers. That is a contract that was never completed. The transfer was not recorded. I remained the owner, and as the owner, I decided to cancel it. Liam took a step toward me. His eyes shone with rage. Do you know how much money I am going to lose because of you? Do you have any idea what this means for me? And do you have any idea what it meant to me that you screamed that you did not want to see me anymore? That you told me I embarrassed you? That you kicked me out of my own house? That was different. I was upset. Upset about what? Liam? About receiving $800,000 for free? That was the reason for your anger? You do not understand anything. You never understood anything. I understand perfectly. I understand that you only look for me when you need something. I understand that nothing I did for you ever mattered to you. I understand that for you, I am only useful when I can give you money or property. Stop the drama, Mom. Always with the same thing, always playing the victim. I am not the victim, Liam. I am the woman who finally opened her eyes. He clenched his fists. He was breathing heavily. All right, fine. If you want me to apologize, I will do it. I am sorry. Happy? Now sign the papers and give me back my ranch. It does not work like that, son. You cannot treat me like trash and then ask for forgiveness as if nothing happened. Then what do you want? Money? Do you want me to pay you for the ranch? I can give you a percentage of the sale. I do not want your money. I want you to leave. To leave? This is my family's house. It was. It isn't anymore. Now it is just my house, and you are not welcome here. Liam looked at me with a mixture of disbelief and contempt. Are you crazy? Do you really think you can kick me out just like that? I am not kicking you out. I am telling you that you are not welcome. There is a difference. Mom, listen to me closely. I need that ranch. I need that money. I already signed contracts. I already made commitments. If I do not deliver, I am going to lose a lot more than $900,000. I am going to lose credibility. I am going to lose partners. I am going to lose my business. You should have thought about that before treating me the way you did. Damn it, Mom. Stop being so proud. It is not pride, Liam. It is dignity, something you do not understand. He ran his hands through his hair, desperate. Okay. Tell me what you want. Do you want me to come over more often? To call you every week? Is that what you want? I want you to leave. Now. I am not leaving without resolving this. There is nothing to resolve. The ranch is mine. It is going to stay mine. And you are not going to receive anything. Liam took a step toward me. His face was inches from mine. I am going to fight this legally. I am going to sue you. I am going to prove that you manipulated me, that you abused your position, that you made me sign those papers and then canceled them on a whim. Do it. Talk to whatever lawyers you want. Review the documents. Everything is in order. Everything is legal. I had every right to cancel that transfer. But you did not have the moral right. Moral right? You are talking to me about morals? You, the son who screamed at his mother that he does not want to see her anymore? Liam stepped back. His expression changed. The rage mixed with something else. With desperation. Mom, please, do not do this. Think about it. I can give you whatever you want. We can fix this. But give me the ranch. No. That simple word left my mouth with a firmness that surprised even me. Liam looked at me as if he did not recognize me. No. Just that. No. Just that. He shook his head slowly. I do not know you. I do not know who you are. But you are not my mother. You are right. I am no longer the mother you knew. That woman died yesterday when you screamed at me. The woman standing in front of you now is someone different. Someone who no longer begs for love. Liam looked at me with pure hate. A hate I never thought I would see in my son's eyes. You are going to regret this. Maybe. But at least I will regret it with dignity. He turned around and went down the stairs. He got into his truck. He took off with such force that the tires kicked up dust and gravel. I watched him drive away down the dark road until the red taillights disappeared. I closed the door. I leaned against it, and only then, only when I was completely alone, did I let the tears fall. The tears did not last long. I wiped my face with the back of my hand and walked to the kitchen. I made myself another tea. My hands were shaking slightly while I heated the water. It was not regret I was feeling. It was the weight of having crossed a line that I knew had no return. Liam had left full of rage. He had threatened to sue me, to destroy me legally, but I knew there was no case. Mr. Higgins had explained everything clearly. The law was on my side. The transfer was never completed. The ranch was still mine. And no one, not even my own son, could take that away from me. I sat at the kitchen table with my steaming mug between my hands. The house was silent, a different silence than other nights. It was not loneliness, it was peace. A strange peace, yes, but peace nonetheless. I slept little that night, not from fear or anguish, but because my mind kept going over every detail of what had happened. Every word Liam had said to me, every expression on his face, every second of that confrontation. When dawn broke, I got up early as always. I fed the chickens. I checked the cattle. I spoke with Jack about the repairs the barn needed. Everything continued its normal course. Life on the ranch went on, with Liam or without him. Mid-morning, while I was sweeping the porch, I saw a car approaching that I did not recognize. It was a silver sedan. It stopped in front of the house, and a young man got out, about 30 years old, dressed in a dress shirt and slacks. He was carrying a briefcase. "Mrs. Eleanor Vance?" "Yes, that is me. How can I help you?" "My name is Daniel Gordon. I am an attorney. I am here on behalf of Liam Vance." My heart skipped a beat. Liam had carried out his threat. Less than 12 hours after our fight, he had already gotten a lawyer. "Come in, Mr. Gordon." "Thank you." I showed him to the living room. We sat down. He opened his briefcase and took out some documents. "Mrs. Vance, my client informed me that you unilaterally canceled a property transfer that you had agreed upon. I am here to notify you that you are in breach of a verbal contract and that my client is prepared to proceed legally if you do not rectify the situation." I looked at him steadily. He was young, probably fresh out of law school. He spoke with that rehearsed confidence that rookie lawyers have. "Mr. Gordon, did you review the documents before coming here?" "I reviewed the information my client provided me." "And did Mr. Arthur Higgins, the attorney who handled the case, explain the legal situation to you?" "I have not spoken with him yet. First, I wanted to hear your version. Then allow me to clarify something for you. There was no breach of contract because there was never a valid contract. The transfer of property was never recorded at the county clerk's office. As long as it is not recorded, the property is still mine. And as the legal owner, I have every right to cancel a process that has not yet been completed." The lawyer furrowed his brow. He reviewed his papers again. But there was a signature. There was an agreement. There was an intention to transfer. That is different. I suggest you talk to Mr. Arthur Higgins. He will explain the legal situation better than I can. "Mrs. Vance, my client is very upset. He had already made financial commitments based on that transfer. Your client's commitments are not my responsibility. He assumed the transfer was final when it was not. That was a mistake on his part, not mine." The lawyer looked uncomfortable. He put his papers away slowly. "Is there any possibility of reaching an agreement? Any compensation you would be willing to accept to proceed with the transfer?" "No. The ranch is not for sale. It is not available for transfer, and I am not going to change my mind." "I understand. Then my client will proceed with whatever legal actions he considers necessary. He is within his rights. I will also be legally represented, and I assure you that everything is in order on my side." The lawyer stood up. I walked him to the door. "Mrs. Vance, if you will allow me a personal comment." "Go ahead. I have seen many cases of family conflicts over property. They never end well. They always leave wounds that do not heal." "I know, Mr. Gordon. But some wounds are already there, long before properties enter the equation." He nodded with a thoughtful expression. He got into his car and left. He had barely gone when the phone rang. It was Betty. "Eleanor, I just saw a car leave your house. Who was it?" "A lawyer Liam sent." "Already? So fast?" "Already. That boy does not waste time." "No. But he does not have a case either. Mr. Higgins says the law is on my side." Even so, Eleanor, legal fights are exhausting. Are you prepared for that? I am prepared for whatever comes, Betty. There is no turning back now. That afternoon I called Mr. Higgins to inform him about the lawyer's visit. He listened attentively. Do not worry, Eleanor. Let me talk to that young man. I will explain the situation. And if Liam insists on suing, the only thing he is going to achieve is spending money on lawyers for a case that has no foundation. Do you think he will do it anyway? Probably. When people are angry, they do not think clearly. But eventually, he will realize he has no way to win this. Thank you, Mr. Higgins. After hanging up, I sat on the porch to watch the sunset. The fields looked golden under the light of the setting sun. Everything was calm. Everything was in its place. 2 days later, Betty came to visit me with news. Eleanor, I heard something in town you should know. What is it? Liam went to look for the buyer of the ranch. He explained that the sale could not be made, and the man got very upset. He says Liam had assured him everything was ready, that he had even accepted an advance of $50,000. $50,000? That is right. And now the buyer is demanding he give it back. But Liam already spent it. I stayed silent. Liam had not only counted on the money from the sale, but he had already spent money he did not have. And what is he going to do? I do not know. But I heard he is trying to get a loan to pay the buyer back. And the banks do not want to lend to him because he already has debts. Betty looked at me with concern. Eleanor, that boy is sinking all on his own. I am not sinking him, Betty. He made his decisions. He spent money he did not have. He made promises he could not keep. That is not my fault. I know. But he is still your son. A son who told me he did not want to see me anymore. Who kicked me out of my own house. Who treated me as if I were nothing. Betty nodded slowly. She did not say more. That night, while I was making dinner, the phone rang again. This time it was a number I did not recognize. Hello, Mrs. Vance? This is Aunt Holly. Aunt Holly was my younger sister. She lived in the city, near where Liam lived. We did not talk much, maybe once or twice a year. Holly, what a surprise. How are you? Fine, sister. But I am calling you because Liam came to see me. Liam went to see you? Yes, he is desperate. Eleanor. He says you took the ranch from him, that you left him in ruins, that he needs help. And what did you tell him? I told him I do not get involved in problems between you two. But he insisted. He asked to borrow money. $50,000. And you? I told him I do not have that amount. And even if I had it, I would not lend it without knowing the whole story. That is why I am calling you. I want to know what really happened. I told Holly everything, every detail, every word, every humiliation. She listened in silence. When I finished, she sighed deeply. Eleanor, I am so sorry. I did not know Liam had treated you like that. No one knew, because I never complained. I always defended him. I always justified his absence. You did right to cancel that transfer. That boy needs to learn that actions have consequences. Thank you, Holly, and do not worry. I am not going to lend him anything. Let him solve his problems like the adult he is. We hung up, and for the first time in a long time, I felt that someone in my family understood me. The following days were strangely quiet. I did not hear from Liam directly again. There were no more furious calls. There were no more nocturnal visits. But the town was small, and news traveled fast. Through Betty, through Mr. Higgins, and other people I had known for years, I gradually found out what was happening with my son. Liam was desperate. The buyer of the ranch, a businessman named Marcus Sterling, not only demanded the return of the $50,000 advance, but he had threatened to sue him for fraud. Liam had signed a pre-sale contract assuring he was the legitimate owner of the property. Now that document compromised him legally. The banks had denied him loans because they discovered he had other debts. Apparently, the new branch of his company was not only going to be financed with the money from the sale of my ranch, but Liam had already borrowed money counting on that future income. Now his whole house of cards was collapsing. One afternoon, while I was having coffee with Betty in my kitchen, she told me something that surprised me. Eleanor, yesterday I saw Liam in town. Really? What was he doing here? He was at the bank. I saw him come out with a nasty look on his face. After that, he went to Mr. Higgins' office. He went to see Mr. Higgins? Yes. I was there when he came out. He looked bad, sister. Real bad. Disheveled. Dark circles under his eyes, like he had not slept in days. I said nothing. Just drank my coffee slowly. Don't you feel anything, Eleanor? He is your son. Of course I feel, Betty. But I do not feel guilt. I feel sadness for the man he became. I feel disappointment. But not guilt. Betty nodded. Mr. Higgins told me that Liam asked him to talk to you, to try to convince you to reverse the cancellation. And what did Mr. Higgins tell him? That it was impossible, that the decision was yours, and that he, as a notary and attorney, could not pressure you. Liam got very upset. He shouted at him. Mr. Higgins had to ask him to leave his office. I imagined the scene. Liam, always so composed, so professional, losing his temper in a public office. That was not the image he cultivated with such care. The next day, I received a letter. It came certified. The mailman brought it all the way to the ranch. It was from a law firm in the city. I opened it with calm hands and read its content. It was a formal lawsuit. Liam accused me of emotional manipulation, breach of trust, and inducing him to sign documents under false promises. He demanded that the transfer of the ranch be completed immediately or, failing that I pay him compensation of $900,000 for damages. I read the entire lawsuit. It was full of pompous legal terms, accusations that sounded serious on paper but had no real substance. Liam was throwing darts in the air, hoping one would stick. I called Mr. Higgins. I read him the lawsuit over the phone. Eleanor, this has no legal basis. It is a pressure strategy. They hope you get scared and give in. What should I do? You need a litigation attorney to represent you. I know someone very good. His name is Vincent Price. He is from the city, but he has a lot of experience in family property cases. Do you want me to ask him to contact you? Yes, please. 2 days later, Vincent Price came to visit me. He was a man of about 50, with a serious but kind expression. He sat with me in the living room and reviewed all the documents. Liam's lawsuit, the papers of the canceled transfer, the property titles, everything. Mrs. Vance, this case is very simple from a legal point of view. You did not commit any crime. There was no fraud. There was no manipulation. The transfer was never completed, and you had every right to cancel it. This lawsuit is not going to prosper. Are you sure? Completely. But it is going to be an annoying process. Your son is going to insist. He is going to drag out the trial as long as he can. He is going to try to tire you out. I am not going to get tired, Mr. Price. He smiled slightly. I see that. Then we will proceed with the defense. I am going to file the response to the lawsuit, and we are going to request that it be dismissed for lack of merit. How long can this take? Months. Maybe a year. It depends on how much your son insists. I have time. A week later, Liam's situation worsened even more. Betty brought me the news. Eleanor, Marcus Sterling filed a lawsuit against Liam for fraud and breach of contract. I expected that. But there is more. Apparently, Liam's partners in his company found out about all his financial problems, and they decided to separate from him. They dissolved the partnership. Liam lost his company? Not the whole company. But he did lose his partners. And without them, he cannot open the new branch. His whole plan collapsed. I remained silent. Liam had built his life in the city with such care, his image as a successful businessman, his network of contacts, his reputation, and now all that was crumbling because he counted his chickens before they hatched. Do you know anything else? Yes. I heard he had to sell his truck. He needed the money to pay some urgent debts. The truck he liked so much, the one he drove with such pride, the one he used to drive away from me that day after screaming at me. That afternoon, while I was feeding the chickens, I thought about everything that had happened, how a single decision had triggered an avalanche. But that decision had not been mine. It had been Liam's. He chose to treat me poorly. He chose to count on money he did not have. He chose to make promises he could not keep. I had only reacted. I had only protected what was mine. One night, almost 3 weeks after everything started, the phone rang late. It was 11 o'clock at night. I looked at the device with distrust. I answered. "Hello, Mom." It was Liam. But his voice sounded different. Broken. Tired. "Liam." "Mom, I need to talk to you." "We are talking." There was a long silence. I need you to listen to me. Please." "I am listening." I heard him breathing on the other end, as if he were gathering the courage to speak. "I am in trouble, Mom. Serious trouble. I know. I lost my partners. I lost important contracts. I have debts I cannot pay. And Mr. Sterling is suing me. If I lose that judgment, I am going to be in total ruin." I said nothing. I just waited. "I need you to help me. I need you to give me back the ranch, or at least lend me money to get out of this. Liam, you told me you did not need me anymore, to get out of your life. I know, and I regret it. I was angry. I said things I should not have said. And now that you are in trouble? Now you need me? Mom, please. How many times did I come to visit you in the city and you barely let me into your office? How many times did I call you and you did not answer? How many Christmases did I spend alone waiting for you to come? Mom, I know I was a bad son. I know I failed you. But I cannot lose everything because of this. You are not losing everything because of this. You are losing everything because of your own decisions. For spending money you did not have. For doing irresponsible business deals. For counting on something that was never yours. The ranch was mine. You gave it to me. I was going to give it to you. Until you treated me as if I were worth nothing." Liam broke down. I heard his voice choke up. "Please, Mom, I beg you. Help me." For the first time in this whole situation, I felt something resembling compassion. But it was not enough to change my decision. "Liam, I helped you your whole life. I gave you an education. I gave you opportunities. I was going to give you my legacy. And you despised it all. Now you have to solve your problems like the adult you are. Mom, good night. Liam." And I hung up. After hanging up the phone, I sat in the darkness of the living room for a long while. Hearing Liam beg had been difficult, not because I felt pity, but because it confirmed something I already knew. My son only looked for me when he needed something. Never for love, never for affection, only for need. The following days witnessed Liam's final fall. The news arrived in drips, but each one confirmed that his life was falling apart completely. Betty came one morning with fresh information from town. Eleanor, Mr. Marcus Sterling won a court order against Liam. They froze his bank accounts until he returns the $50,000. They froze his accounts? That is right. He cannot withdraw money. He cannot make transactions. He is completely blocked. I also found out from Mr. Higgins that the lawsuit Liam had filed against me was dismissed by the judge. Attorney Vincent Price had done an impeccable job demonstrating that there was no legal basis. The judge ruled that the transfer was never completed and that I, as the legal owner, had every right to cancel it. Liam appealed the decision, but Vincent explained to me that would only prolong the inevitable. The appeal would be rejected too. "Mrs. Vance, your son is spending money he does not have on lawyers who cannot win a lost cause. He is sinking further. It is not my responsibility to save him, Mr. Price. I know. I just wanted you to be aware." One afternoon, while I was harvesting vegetables from my garden, I saw an old, beat-up car approaching. It was not Liam's truck. It was a rental car, small and cheap. My son got out. I almost did not recognize him. He had lost weight. He had deep circles under his eyes, unshaven beard, wrinkled clothes. He looked like someone who had hit rock bottom. He walked toward me slowly, as if every step took effort. I kept pulling tomatoes from the vines without looking directly at him. "Mom! Liam! Can I talk to you? You are talking!" He stood there, hands in his pockets, looking at the ground. "I lost everything. The company, the partners, the apartment. I had to move into a rented room. I do not have money to even eat well." I looked up and looked at him. I expected to feel something. Compassion, sadness, but I only felt empty. "And you came to tell me that for what reason? So you can see what you caused." "What I caused? Liam, I did not cause anything. You got into debt. You spent money you did not have. You made promises you could not keep. I just protected what was mine. If you had given me the ranch like you promised, none of this would have happened. If you had treated me with a minimum of respect, the ranch would have been yours. But you chose to scream at me. You chose to kick me out. You chose to tell me you did not need me anymore. Liam clenched his jaw. Is this revenge to you? Do you feel better seeing me like this? This is not revenge. It is consequence. Learn the difference. I am your son, your only son. And I was your mother, your only mother. But that did not matter to you when you treated me like trash. He took a step toward me. There was desperation in his eyes. Give me a chance. Let me live here on the ranch. I can work the land. I can help you. I just need a place to be while I sort out my problems. Work the land? You? The man who said he was not a peasant, that he had a degree, that this world was not for him. I am desperate. Mom, I have nowhere to go. You had a life in the city. You had friends, partners. Why don't they help you? They all drifted away when they saw I was in trouble. No one answers my calls. How curious. When you had money, they were there. When you lost it, they disappeared. Just like you with me. When you needed me, I was there. When you thought you did not need me anymore, you kicked me out. Liam ran his hands over his face. He seemed about to break. What do you want me to do? Kneel? Beg for forgiveness, crying? I do not want anything from you, Liam. Not anymore. Please. Mom, I beg you, I cannot fall any lower. Then learn to get up on your own. Like I had to do when your father died. Like I had to do every time you left and left me alone. It is not the same. You are right. It is not the same. Because I never had anyone to help me. And you had a mother who gave you everything. But you despised her. Liam began to weep, real tears running down his face without control. It was the first time I saw him cry since he was a child. I am sorry. I am so sorry. I was a terrible son. I was selfish. I was cruel. But please, do not leave me like this. Liam, for years I put you first. I sacrificed my life for yours. I worked until I broke, so you would have opportunities. And when I finally needed a little respect, you denied it to me. Now you come because you have no options, not because you love me, not because you realized you treated me poorly. You come because you need something. I swear I changed. I swear I understood. When did you understand, Liam? When you lost the money? When your partners left? When you were left alone? That is not understanding. That is desperation. He fell to his knees on the garden dirt, hands clasped together, begging, Mom, for what you love most. Help me. I have no one else. Looking at him like that hurt me. I am not going to lie. Seeing my son on his knees, destroyed, broken, was an image I never thought I would witness. But something inside me held firm. Something that knew if I gave in now, everything would go back to how it was before. He would take what he needed and leave again. Get up, Liam. Mom, get up. He stood up slowly. He had dirt on his knees, tears on his face. Get out of here. Leave, and do not come back. Are you kicking me out? I am letting you go. Just like you let me go. I do not have money for gas to get back. I went into the house. I took $200 out of my purse. I went back and gave it to him. This is the last thing you are going to receive from me. Use it to get back to the city. Use it to start from zero, but do not come looking for me again. Liam took the money with shaking hands. Do you really hate me that much? I do not hate you, Liam. I simply do not need you in my life anymore. Just like you did not need me in yours. He stood there a few more seconds, as if waiting for me to change my mind, but I did not. Finally, he turned around and walked toward his rental car. He got in, started it, and left. I watched him drive away down the dirt road until he disappeared. And this time I felt nothing. Not sadness, not relief, only the certainty that I had closed a door that should have been closed a long time ago. I went back to my garden. I kept harvesting tomatoes. The plants were full. It was going to be a good season. That night, Betty came to visit me. I told her what had happened. She listened to me in silence, holding my hand. How do you feel? Free. That was the truth. For the first time in years, I felt free. Free from the guilt, free from the obligation. free from expecting something from someone who was never going to give it. Eleanor, you were very brave. I was not brave, Betty. I just did what I should have done a long time ago. We sat on the porch until late, watching the stars, drinking coffee, talking about simple things, about the harvest, about the weather, about plans for next year. Liam had left my life the same way he entered it, crying. But this time, I was not going to run to console him. 6 months passed since the last time I saw Liam, 6 months of absolute silence. There were no calls, there were no letters, there were no visits. It was as if my son had disappeared from the face of the earth. And I, against all odds, was okay with that. The ranch flourished. The harvest that year was abundant. I sold vegetables and fruits at the farmer's market in town. The cattle were healthy. Jack worked with me more and more often, and his presence made the days less lonely. Not in the way I expected to fill the void of a son, but in a simpler, more honest way. The company of someone who valued my work and my effort. Betty remained my confidante and my friend. We spent afternoons together, sharing coffee and conversation. She kept me up to date on what was happening in town, although hardly anyone mentioned Liam anymore. The scandal had cooled down. People had found other topics of conversation. One spring morning, while I was watering the garden plants, I saw a car approaching up the road. It was Mr. Higgins' sedan. He stopped in front of the house, and the attorney got out with a folder under his arm. "Good morning, Mrs. Vance." "Good morning, Mr. Higgins. What brings you out here?" "I need you to sign some documents. It is just a formality, but important." We went into the house. Mr. Higgins opened his folder and took out several papers. "Do you remember the appeal Liam filed?" "Yes, I remember. It was definitively rejected. The Superior Court confirmed that you acted within your legal rights. The case is closed. Liam cannot sue you again for this matter." I felt a weight I did not know I was still carrying lift off my shoulders. "So everything is over?" "Legally, yes. The ranch is completely yours without any pending dispute. I just need you to sign these documents to update the records." I signed where he indicated. Mr. Higgins stamped everything with his official seal. "Mrs. Vance, if you will allow me to say something personal." "Go ahead, Mr. Higgins. I have worked as an attorney for 40 years. I have seen many families destroy themselves over money and property, but you did something very few people have the courage to do. You put yourself first, and that is not selfishness. It is dignity. Thank you, Mr. Higgins. That means a lot coming from you." When he left, I sat in the living room looking at the signed documents. Everything was officially over. The legal battle had ended. The ranch was mine. My life was mine. That afternoon, I decided to do something I had been postponing. I went to my room and took out all the photographs of Liam I had stored away. Complete albums of his childhood, of his youth, of his graduation, photos of the two of us together in better times. I looked at them one by one, not with sadness, but with the tranquility of someone looking at a closed chapter. That smiling boy no longer existed. That young man full of dreams had become a man I did not know. And it was okay. Life was like that. People changed. Relationships ended. I put the photographs in a box and put it high up in the closet. I did not throw them away, but I did not leave them in sight either. They were part of my past. Nothing more. A week later, Holly, my sister, came to visit me. She arrived by bus from the city and stayed with me for 3 days. It was the first time in years we spent real time together. One night, while we were eating dinner, she asked me, "Do you know anything about Liam?" "No. Do you?" "I ran into him a month ago in the city. He was working as a sales clerk at a clothing store." "As a sales clerk?" "Yes." He saw me but turned his face away. He did not want to speak to me. "How did he look?" "Haggard, sad, but alive." I nodded in silence. Liam was alive. He was working. He was surviving. That was all I needed to know. Do you not feel a desire to look for him? To know how he really is? No, Holly. He took his path. I took mine. And if one day he returns, with real humility, with a true change, maybe I will listen to him. But I am not going to wait for him. I am not going to live hanging on that possibility. My sister took my hand. "You are stronger than you think. Eleanor, I had to be. I had no choice. The months kept passing. Autumn arrived with its golden colors, then winter with its gentle cold, and then another spring. Life on the ranch continued with its natural rhythm. Planting, harvesting, caring, living. I turned 66 surrounded by friends. Betty organized a small party at my house. Neighbors from the countryside came. Jack and his family. Mr. Higgins with his wife. Holly traveled from the city. It was a simple celebration, but full of genuine affection. While I cut the cake, I looked around. All those people were there because they wanted to be. Not out of obligation, not out of interest, only out of real affection. And I realized I had more family than I thought. Not blood family necessarily, but family nonetheless. One afternoon, almost a year after everything happened, I was sitting on the porch watching the sunset when I heard the phone ring. It was an unknown number. I answered. Hello? Mrs. Eleanor Vance? Yes, that is me. This is Paula Mendez. I am a social worker at the General Hospital in the city. I have a Liam Vance registered here, and you appear as his emergency contact. My heart stopped for a second. Did something happen to him? He had a minor accident. Nothing serious. A fall, but he is alone and needs someone to come pick him up when they discharge him tomorrow. I understand. Is he okay? Yes, ma'am. He just needs rest. Can you come for him? No, I cannot. There was a silence on the other end. Is there anyone else we can call? You can call Holly. She is his aunt. She lives in the city. I gave them my sister's number and hung up. I felt no guilt. I felt no urgency to run and get him. Liam was okay. He had medical attention, and he had Holly if he needed help. I called my sister to let her know. She told me she would go to the hospital. Don't you want to know how he really is? Holly, if Liam wants to speak with me, he knows where to find me, but I'm not going to chase him. I am not going to beg for his attention. I already did that for enough years. I understand you. Sister, that night I slept peacefully, without nightmares, without anguish. The next day, Holly called me again. I went for Liam. He is okay. It was just a bruise. But Eleanor, he looks very bad, very lonely, very sad. It is his life, Holly. He asked me to tell you something. What is it? That he is sorry, that he understands why you did what you did, and that he does not expect you to forgive him. But he wanted you to know he regrets it. I said nothing for a long while. Thank him for the message, but tell him that regretting changes nothing. Actions have consequences, and he is living his. I will tell him. We hung up. I went out to the porch. The sun was high. The fields stretched green and abundant in front of me. My land, my effort, my life. No one had taken it from me. No one would take it from me. I breathed deep. The air smelled of damp earth and wildflowers. I heard the birds singing. I felt the heat of the sun on my face, and I smiled, because I had learned the most important lesson of all. Self-love is not negotiated. Dignity is not begged for. And sometimes, letting go of who you love most is the greatest act of self-love you can do. Liam had lost $800,000 in land, but I had gained something priceless: my freedom, my peace, my dignity, and that, in the end, was worth more than any ranch.